All right, ladies and gentlemen, up next. So we've got how to not spook your contacts, retain your SaaS subscriber for the long haul, featuring Naomi West. Let's go and get Naomi up in here for email camp, y'all. All right. Naomi's going to be coming to us live from the Invoice to Go camp. She is their email marketing manager. Once again, how to not spook your contacts, retain your SaaS subscriber for the long haul. Let's see. She should be joining us in just a second. Awesome. Hey, Naomi, how's it going?
Hey, it's going good. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for asking. Uh-oh, looks like we just lost you. Hold on, let's get back. Looks like there must be some ghosts over there. Lots of poltergeists rolling around today, y'all. Lots of them. They're affecting my mics, too. Let's see if we can get it back.
Are we here?
Okay, cool. Yeah, you're good. Email poltergeist definitely got you as well. Oh, my goodness.
I'm back. Scary as ever.
Awesome. Good. Right. Oh, my goodness. Well, y'all, ladies and gentlemen, Naomi West, the email marketing manager for Invoice to Go. I'm super excited for you to be here. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Yeah, I'm really excited. We've got some serious spooky stuff to talk about. And I'm excited to answer some questions and talk about SaaS email marketing.
Cool. All right, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you save your questions for the Q&A session towards the end of the session. That will be in about 20 minutes or so. Make sure you upvote your questions in the question tab so we can keep flowing and keep checking through those questions. All right, Naomi, I'll go ahead and let you take it away.
Cool. Here we go.
All right.
Okay. All right. Nightmare at Email Camp. I want to thank the event organizers for having me today. But for everyone who's tuning in right now, I am Naomi West, and today I will be talking about how to not spook your contacts. And primarily what I mean by that is spook your contacts into unsubscribing from you. So SaaS email marketing, if you're not in the SaaS space, it can often lose momentum after that initial activation moment and kind of result in involuntary churn after your customer hits that unsubscribe button. So creating a retention-focused lifecycle marketing journey is really key for SaaS companies to not only initially convert, but turn your customer into an advocate for years to come. So that is what we will be focusing on today. Very exciting and scary. So myself, if you were wondering why I am qualified to be here speaking about email today, I have been in the email industry for 5.5 years. I worked as an in-house onboarding manager at Braze, which is a really powerful automation tool out of their London office in the UK. I've also worked as an in-house email marketing specialist at Later. I'm based in Vancouver, BC. And now I'm an email marketing manager at Invoice to Go, which is an accounts receivable online business toolkit for small and medium-sized businesses. I also do a lot of freelance consulting for growth strategy, and primarily I focus on the SaaS and e-commerce industries. So I love email, but I specifically love SaaS email. And so what is our spooky agenda today? And don't worry, we only have 20 minutes with kind of 10 minutes at the end for questions. We're going to start off by a brief overview of what is kind of SaaS email marketing. So if you're new to it or you've been doing it for a while, just a refresher of how it differs from other industries. And then I want to lead you through kind of a profile of your ideal SaaS subscriber so we can understand what retention really means in regards to a SaaS email subscriber. And then what we're all here for, which is discussing where things can go wrong. So where to avoid spooking your subscriber. And then talking about how to expand and avoid these pitfalls. And then, as I mentioned, about 10 minutes at the end for questions. So this is really my favorite place to start when talking about email marketing. I believe it's really important to kind of be reminded of why email is a really, really important channel and one of the most impactful. So there's 3 reasons why I believe email is a fantastically unique channel. And the first is that the content, you really can't get any similar offering in another channel. Where Instagram, you really have to capture the attention with an image and then hopefully they'll read the caption, and SMS, you just have that little text piece. Email offers you a rich balance of imagery and text, and no other channel offers similar. So you've got a great opportunity with the content of email. And second up is timing. Email is an own channel, right? Versus social where you can't control visibility as much. So with email, you control the send time versus with social, you can't really control the algorithm or how many other followers that person has. And you don't know where your post or a piece of content is going to land in a feed. And then the third is the audience base. Email is your most engaged audience group. It's people that have explicitly opted in, and it's a great channel for cross-channel strategy with paid. So with so much control over one channel that has so much possibility, there's a lot that can go wrong, right? There's a lot of spooky stuff that we're going to dive into. And the Peter Parker principle says that with great power comes great responsibility. So what am I referring to? Well, I'm referring to kind of the 3 growth levers of SaaS email marketing. And in the SaaS industry, we're not just driving towards that first conversion piece and dropping the mic. There's a lot of work here. So just because you've obtained an email address doesn't necessarily mean that that email subscriber is ready to monetize or they're ready to renew their subscription after a free trial. They could be looking for more education. They could be looking at other brands for the same offering, or they could be in the consideration phase. So email can really be used to leverage these customers across the threshold. This is where you're going to really set expectations for what you offer. You're going to communicate your value propositions, and you're going to establish a really strong relationship. So driving a SaaS subscriber through to long-term retention can take a lot of work and thought. So a lot of hoops you have to think about jumping through here. And in order to define SaaS retention, you need data. And so what is SaaS retention? Well, it's going to be product activation first and foremost, right? What is the habit you want your subscriber to complete within your product or software? Do you want your software product to become an integral part of their lives or tech stack or day-to-day? And from that, what kind of engagement do you want to drive? Expand upon that initial point of activation, right? What are other events you want them to complete? And finally, resurrection. This is where your users are going to become dormant. They're at risk of churning and you want to resurrect them. So if you impact one of these levers, you should have an impact on the output, which is retention. So retention within SaaS is pretty much product activation, engagement, and resurrection, making sure that they don't churn. And when you're profiling your ideal SaaS subscriber, you want to ask yourself, what does it mean to be a retained SaaS subscriber? And there's some avoidables that you definitely don't want to happen. And the first is they've unsubscribed from your email. Because if someone's unsubscribed, they could risk out on a promotion, an upgrade, and they could churn. Or they've marked you as spam. Or they've canceled their subscription more than once, right? They've churned. But the positives of being a retained SaaS subscriber is potentially they click and engage with every email. Maybe they've upgraded their subscription, or they've hit that product activation moment, or they've automatically renewed their subscription at least once, or they've referred their friends. So there's a lot of positives when profiling your SaaS subscriber. But when an avoidable happens, you ultimately impact the potential of retention. So if a customer unsubscribes and hasn't churned, they could now miss out on, as I mentioned, upsell content, feature announcements that would enrich their experience. And if a customer marks you as spam, although one complaint most likely harm you, this type of behavior over time in larger volumes will drive your emails kind of in the wrong direction you want them to go. So if your subscriber can't be reached by you, they're at risk of churning. So this is where things start to get scary. I'll preface, it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of data and time to understand what your subscribers like and dislike. And in order to get a hold of what retention means to you, you need to understand the data your subscribers give back to you from both product usage and email engagement. So let's talk about some very spooky things in the email world that will ultimately impact retention. You talk too much. This is a very spooky thing that happens often in the email world. So what do your emails look like in the inbox of your subscriber? This is an example of a brand that I subscribe to. They email me almost every day, twice a day. And I haven't opened any emails from them in the past 6 months. Just so scary. So the consequences of being too chatty is, I'm not one to spook easy, but if I were, I'd probably mark them as spam. I'm tired of receiving content from them. Maybe I feel like I've tried to unsubscribe and it didn't work. So I'm ready to hit that mark as spam button. I want this communication to stop. Another consequence is that I'm going to probably run for the hills. I want to avoid shopping here for putting myself at risk of ending up on this email list again. Very, very scary. Another spook factor is timing, right? Timing, it's everything. So think about your product offerings and what mindset your subscriber will be in when you send that email. Is there a better time for them to do that key thing? So this is an example of a brand that was trying to get me to upgrade at 5:23 a.m. and another brand that was trying to get me to use a key feature offering on a Friday at 11:25 p.m. So you want me to do that thing the second I open my eyes, or at 11:25 p.m. on a Friday. So the consequences of finding the right person at the wrong time, I'm probably just going to go for a straight swipe to delete. It is still detrimental over a long period to your email reputation, and I will be unsubscribing because the last thing I want to be doing on a Friday night is thinking about a work-related tool. I love my job and I love my team, but Friday is my time, so no thank you. So the third spook factor is that, you might not design emails for accessibility, right? Is ignorance bliss, or is it very scary? So the example that I've provided here of a very scary email situation is a brand on the left that has a lovely email designed in light mode. It gives all that crucial information that is able to be seen in light mode. But when the email converts to dark mode, you do not know the date that you need to return your item to receive free shipping. So very important of why checking for dark mode rendering is very important. So what's the consequences of building a one-size-fits-all email? Well, first being is churn. If your key information is not showing in dark mode, which is used by a lot of people, me specifically after 8 p.m., you're going to miss out on key information, right? It's probably not going to cause an unsubscribe, but it could be a direct correlation to churn down the line, and especially when it comes to any kind of important terms and conditions. And it's also going to be very confusing, right? The fourth spook factor that impacts retention is you're punching above your weight. You're trying to accomplish too much. And so with inboxes being so full these days, personalization really matters. It's important to segment your audience, address your subscribers with data you have on them, and don't bucket them into, this e-blast or mass email send that people often refer to newsletters or larger email sends. And there's no image example for this one because we're all guilty of it. It takes a lot of time to segment an audience. It takes a lot of time to figure out who the right people are to receive a message and how often. And it's, an approach that a lot of brands take where they annoy the many to convert a few. Because a lot of the time you look at marketing as let's cast a wider net to see what kind of conversion we can get. But no, I do not want to reactivate my free trial I had 4 years ago with the same promo code that was supposed to expire after 24 hours. So the consequences of not personalizing leads to email fatigue. And I think we can all agree that receiving the same kind of upgrade push messages in our inboxes is very tiring. It's tiring for the brand that's yelling the same message, and it's very tiring for the subscriber. And unsubscribing can be a direct result of email fatigue. So on to expanding your awareness in your email marketing. Where do you begin, right? You know these spook factors, you know your audience. Where do you take it? You have to kind of ask yourself key questions when coming up with your life cycle program. You have to talk to yourself about who is your subscriber? When are they interacting with your product and email? Can you align them? Where are they reading your emails? Are they mobile heavy? Do you have an audience that opens your emails, 80% of the time on mobile? And what communication gaps are you missing? Is a lot of your email comms focused on that first, 0 to 10 day moment, and then you're never communicating with them again except to yell re-engagement campaigns at them? And the second pillar is, how do you define activation? What is that kind of key aha product moment that you can say, this subscriber is in my good books. They look like they are going to be a retained subscriber. And what features can become habits? And then finally, Is your email causing more harm than good? Are you taking that approach of annoy the many to convert a few? Right? What are your unsubscribe rates? What are your mark as spam complaints? Look at your feedback loops. Are there certain campaigns or programs that could be improved to decrease the percentage of those avoidable moments that we discussed? And so where do you need to start? The first is looking at, I like to start with geographical and behavioral data. Examples being, how frequently do your ideal subscribers start a session? How often do they complete those key moments? How often do they engage with email? Are they upgrading from a trial after 24 hours or after 30 days? Start to form your email marketing around those key moments. And then look at the timing. So understanding your product, your subscriber, and your end goal of a retention-focused email marketing program takes time. Rome wasn't built in a day or overnight, as I've written it here. So you need to have resources and timing available to you. Things aren't going to be built in a week, and you have to be patient. And that wraps up my retention-based email presentation.
All right, let's get into some haunted Q&A, shall we? Okay, ladies and gents, don't forget to use the upvote function for the questions so we can make sure we get the best ones answered, all right? All right, so first and foremost, we got one coming into us from Alex. And Alex wanted to know, all right, so he said, would a survey be a good way to gather some customer data quickly or directly to see what is working and what is scaring them away? If so, what are the best survey practices to ensure engagement? What do you think about that?
Very interesting question. A survey is, it's a good way to briefly capture information. What I would do is I would definitely dig into the engagement metrics that your ESP is giving you directly. Primarily like what campaigns are working really well, what campaigns have super high click-through rates, have you experimented with send times, a morning versus an afternoon. A survey is going to capture the information of, a couple very engaged subscribers of you, but might not paint a picture for a wider, a wider view into how all your subscribers feel. If you're going to run a survey, I think that incentive always helps to get more people involved. But if you do offer incentive, then you need to also ask yourself if people are coming in and completing your survey with the right intentions. Are they there to get what you're offering or to actually provide valuable feedback? So yeah, I would definitely test out a survey to see what kind of results you get. It doesn't hurt, but also look at the wider data that you have available to you in your ESP. Gotcha.
Good answers. Okay, moving on here. Looks like we got one from Marie. Marie asked, when using your ESP email builder versus hand coding email, is it the responsibility of the ESP to account for accessibility when it comes to light versus dark mode?
I think it's up to you to take responsibility for how your email looks in light mode and dark mode. At the end of the day, your brand and the branding of your business is going to be completely unique than another company that's using the ESP as well. So it all boils down to, some colors invert. And if you are a brand that uses, grays and whites and blacks versus one that uses like light beige tones, the renderings could be completely different. And it's not on the ESP to kind of say, hey, Maria, like your email, it's not good. So you have to check yourself. And even if an ESP, flags those things, definitely always QA yourself to make sure that there's nothing slipping through the cracks. But primarily, I would just make sure that your background colors aren't inverting wild and the text on top is inverting correctly. And even keep in mind that some inboxes, will have a partial invert versus a full invert versus no invert. So it's kind of a very scary, spooky world out there with dark mode. And I think it's on you to make the best of it.
Nice. Actually, guys, more on dark mode tomorrow, featuring our own Megan, our senior email dev. So stay tuned for that talk tomorrow. That'll be a lot of fun. All right, moving on here. Okay, so Gabriel just wanted your opinion on this one, but she's saying, are you saying that reminders are not a good idea then? What do you think?
Those reminders. I mean, depends how much you're shouting out a reminder. I've seen brands, there's different types of reminders per industry. With SaaS, it's probably like a reminder that your trial is ending, or if you've canceled your plan, that your plan is coming to an end soon, or maybe you're eligible for a promotional reminder offering. I think it just depends on, how often are you yelling out that reminder? And as an end user, how many emails would make you unsubscribe? So put yourself in your end user's shoes and just think about what amount of reminder emails would make me hate the brand, and then don't do that many. But you'll know your audience the best, and just put yourself in an empathetic mindset when you're coming up with how much you're shouting the same message. I think reminders are always beneficial. I mean, if I have a free trial ending, I want to know how many days left I have on it, but I don't need to have a 30-day countdown.
The good old day before email, the good old 5 days out.
Yeah,
it's a good best practice. How many notification emails or reminders do I want? Okay, that's a good question. How much is,
And then too, that's where a great use case for a preference center comes in. Because you do have people who probably want more hand-holding versus people that maybe put it in their calendar themselves and they don't love email reminders. So how can you take that reminder one step further and personalize the frequency to your user?
Some good preference center personalization there. Heck yeah, all about that. Okay, moving on here because we don't have so much time, Naomi. Okay. Next one coming from Alexa. If you are just starting to build out lifecycle, what campaigns do you think would be the most important to start off with? Welcome, a welcome campaign?
Yeah, definitely a welcome. Whether it's a one-off or a whole series driving the user to your main product offerings, that's when your subscriber is going to be the most engaged. They've come to your platform and, given you their email address because they're interested in some capacity. So I would definitely come up with the welcome and look at what are your main value props you want to let them know about. And then from there, are there any key activation moments that you can fit in an automation based on product usage? If you're offering for invoice to go, we allow companies to send invoices to their clients. And so we want to definitely create automations that are based around that key moment of sending your first invoice and how can you take this a little bit further. So someone could go through our welcome series and then come back to us 2 or 3 months later, and we want to continue to nurture them. So looking at those key products kind of activation moments and centering around other kind of campaigns that will continue to nurture them throughout their life cycle.
Nice. Okay. And then looks like we got a few more here. This one's coming from Whitney. When he asked, how many times should you re-engage a non-opener before removing them from your list? Ooh,
yeah, I mean, with opens not being the most valuable or the most accurate metric anymore, I think you should be looking at other touch points as a determining factor if you should remove someone from your list. And it depends on the content of the email as well. So I'm going to say don't use opens anymore as a metric determining if your subscriber is active or not, but instead, specifically for SaaS, I'm looking at click-through rate and I'm looking at activity on a website. And if we're continually communicating with someone, let's say we have a newsletter once a week, and after 3 months of no engagement with any newsletter, that's probably when I would say, are they really finding this valuable? Can we leave them off these larger sends? And I don't necessarily remove them from the list. Let's say they complete a key product moment inside the app. They can still go through our automations that are based on event activity or a win back series. But for larger campaigns or newsletters, I don't need to bug them once a week anymore. If they're not clicking on any content, I'll leave them off. So
Makes
it kind of
sense.
depends on how often you're communicating. And again, as the end user, what would you find annoying? And then just don't do that.
Definitely. Awesome. Well, Naomi, that's all the time we got today. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to be here. I know you got a lot going on. Pathwire thanks you. We thank you. I thank you. Naomi West, everybody.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. You can follow me on Twitter at email_from_Naomi or check out my website, naomiwest.ca. I post a lot of email content there. And I'm also on LinkedIn just under my name. But yeah, Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Thank you, Naomi. All right. Be careful out there. All right. There's like ghouls, like ghosts, a lot of weird microphone ghosts that are coming around. So
Very scary.
technological ghosts, but good to see you. Be careful out there. Watch out for the madman and zombies roaming around. And I hope you have a great Halloween. All right.
Thanks so much.
All right.
Bye.
Talk to you later. Bye.